So hi and welcome to another episode of Insights from NetSupport, live from the stand here at Bett 2025. And we've got some real EdTech royalty with us on the stand today, the one and only Gemma Gwilliam. Gemma, look, rather than me explaining why you are EdTech royalty, could you share a little about your roots into where you are now, some of your history, some of the trust work you did before, and what you're doing now in Portsmouth? Is that okay?
Yeah, of course. I mean, thank you. I wouldn't say royalty, I just call, but I am now the head of digital for the whole city of Portsmouth. I've been doing that role for 2 years, and I feel really lucky because I actually get to bring all of my experience from having worked in the classroom, both in schools in the UK and abroad. Then I worked for United Learning, so I got to actually become part of the EdTech Demonstrator Schools programme as well, and bringing my work of both within working with technicians and schools to see how we can actually have a joined up strategy for our children to improve outcomes for all. So it's kind of where I'm at on the journey.
Brilliant stuff. And look, as someone who's been involved in that sort of work myself as well, I know how hard change is, because often getting a technology right, particularly when you've got tools like, without mentioning any names, but when you've got the right tools, getting the tech right isn't too difficult, but often the problem sort of falls somewhere between the laptop and the chair, right?
Yeah.
How do you go about making sure that the change actually works, the implementation works? What are your sort of top tips for that?
So I always get people to think about the why, and when people are saying why, I say, well, why not? And then also bringing it down to someone they can relate to, which is for children. This is who we're doing what we're doing for. So we've got in Portsmouth a character called Bobby. Everything we do is for Bobby. So actually when we're looking at tech solutions, when we're looking at change management, it's like, what impact is this going to have on Bobby, both now within the classroom, but also Bobby's family, and Bobby when they leave school? So what skill set are they going to have? And when you start to bring in that character building and that realising that actually it's not just tech for tech's sake, I'm not really into the shiny stuff, actually I just want it to work for that child, particularly around accessibility and inclusion, that's how then you start getting those processes going.
Brilliant, thank you. And I think, obviously starting with the eye is a fantastic approach, and I love that idea of sort of focusing on the character. Truth is though, even though you've got these things like that, there's often either laggards, there's often some people who sort of push back, right, and then people who are a bit like my mum, right, who despite getting, they understand why they can still struggle. How do you support those sort of three sort of different types of people when you've got all the other things in place as well?
So it's relationship building as well, and it's in enabling those people to kind of build that trust with you, for you to understand their viewpoint and the challenges they're having, those little blockers. But then also when you've got the people who are the drivers, having them kind of then sharing the same message that you're putting forward, having that real, actually looking at the community approach, looking at how you go even within department level sometimes. So when you think about some of your bigger secondary schools, actually we start in a small department, then we start to trickle. Getting the people who are your nose on board as well, and then when they get that little light bulb moment, but when you find out what interests them and you can show how the tech will support and enhance that, they then start seeing the bigger picture.
And I find actually those no's, when you get those to know people on board, actually they become your biggest advocates, don't they, right? Have you got any stories about anything like that?
I have got somewhere, it's like, let's talk about newsletters, okay? And the good old Microsoft publisher. And those people, I mean, soon to be RIP, Microsoft publisher, but it is, and it's like, they're like, well, I've always done it this way. And I'm like, that's quite actually a common statement. I've always done it this way, why would I change it? Well, actually, publisher, where you're saving it, is not a cloud-based solution. So actually, you do have to have version 2.6.8 of your publisher document. Then when you think about the formatting, when you think about the Creative Commons element, where you're getting your images from for it, could you be breaking actually the Creative Commons licenses by using images that aren't actually available for your newsletters? Then you think about insights. Well, who do you know is reading your newsletter and you're having to PDF it? If you're opening a PDF, does it work on the phone? Can parents access it? When you think about as well accessibility needs of our parents and carers, like a study by the National Literacy Trust said 16.4% of adults across the UK are illiterate. Well, actually, is your publisher newsletter going to be accessible to them, or are they going to have to put it into something to help have it read back to them? So
you're absolutely right. and it opens up so many issues as well. I mean, I remember having to write the newsletter myself back when I first started teaching. Publisher, crikey, it is a blast from the past, isn't it? But you understand why people have that sort of that mindset, and you know, I've heard a few people say, you know, I've always done it this way. It's one of those sort of dangerous words in education, actually, because we think you highlighted the big issues, haven't you? Around accessibility, access, being able to be able to read it, the sort of opportunities for translation, broad stuff. Look, our recordings are called Insights for a reason. You've shared some insights already, but I'd just like to wrap things up now, Gemma. If I would say to you, could you share one thing? If a school's like, you know, trying to make things work with technology, okay, given your experience, what one thing, would be, you know, the absolute must do that you haven't shared already?
So I would say the common language, so that then actually you've got that consistency. So if you're thinking, for us at city level, we've got technology for children, technology for adults, technology for all. Because actually, no matter who you are, you can relate to that. What are you doing for your children and why? What are you doing for your adults? What are you doing for that wider community? Then also within your staff, thinking about, right, enhancing teaching and learning. Actually, all schools want to enhance, and departments and classes want to enhance teaching and learning. How can the tech do that? Everybody wants to reduce workload, but how can we do that safely and securely? And why would we want to do it?
Yeah.
And then, of course, accessibility and inclusion, because that is. I was speaking with Paddy yesterday. That is kind of everyone's.
Paddy McGrath from Everway, yeah.
Yeah, from Everway. That is everybody's responsibility. And actually, it may work for one child. It will probably work for a whole group of children. They don't need a diagnosis for them to be able to benefit from the tools available.
Absolutely. You know, when you think about those sort of things, you know, it's essential for the phrase we always sort of share, isn't it? It's essential for some, but useful for all, right?
Yes.
And so, what a brilliant way to end a lovely conversation with Gemma. Gemma, where can people find you online? I know you share an awful lot. Are you on social media?
LinkedIn would be the place to find me. So yeah, feel free. There's not many Gemma Gwilliams, fortunately. So I'll pop up at the top.
Brilliant stuff. And we'll put that into the show notes as well, so you can connect with Gemma as well. Listen, Gemma, thank you very much, and thank you for joining us for this episode of Insights Live from Bett 2025 on the NetSupport stand. Thank you.